Okay, so today I'm on a Zoom call with Jose Ribeiro. Hopefully, I got the pronunciation right, Jose. Thank you very much for agreeing to talk to us today. You're in Portugal, sometimes you're in Spain, but you're well known in shrewd circles as a man who heads and collaborates with sharp syndicates worldwide.
Uh, thank you, Simon, for having me. It's an honor, pleasure to meet you. Finally, I've heard about you many times, saw some of your episodes. Um, well, your words are too kind. I collaborate with syndicates. Yes, I'm working in this world for like 15 years, more or less now. I've been several times in the UK. And yeah, I'm working now with three or four smaller groups. Soon to be, we hope, bigger corporations and syndicates. Yes.
Okay, so when did you first get involved with that syndication?
Well, I'm not really sure. We met. I met a few guys a few years back. Things accelerated. So I'm in a Latin country. I work in Latin countries. I speak several languages. So I can speak English, Spanish is my second language, and then obviously the Portuguese. So Latin American countries are like Brazil or Chile, Peru are countries where I can speak with fluent like a local. And so back in I don't know 2010 or so, I've reached many people over the forums. I'm not sure if you had these on the UK or not, but forums, people chat, Facebook groups, and then I met a few guys. I think the first syndicate I was involved was a Chilean one back in the day where they need people to help them in the night operations for them, which was obviously different time zones for us. And I started to collaborate with a few guys. They were mostly eating softs. Soft outs back then were much more resilient to the fills. They don't allow fills right now, but the 365s back then would allow big fills. So the first syndicate, I think, was around 2010. It was an organized group in Chile, lots of information. It was interesting. Nowadays, they do not operate. Their edges, of course, have disappeared. The group dissolved maybe 2014, something like that. But I think that was the first one, a Chilean operation that was inside the softs back then.
Okay, can you tell us
Not sure if
what their edge would have been?
the age
And
of the
what their edge would have been, that
I
syndicate.
lost. Oh, the edge. Okay. Pricing in softs was worst back then, much worse. Especially in smaller leagues, Brazilian third, fourth division, Chile second division, Peruvian second division, and they were much into the live, so they waited back then for the live to appear, and they had a lot of information on the ground, so they have a lot of information from local people, and most of these games they would smash them heavily after the live. And when they recruited me was because I also had quite good information for Portuguese lower division soccer, and I could get down for them also. So I started getting down for them over here, and the edges were mostly inefficiency from the bookies in tier 3 and 4 markets, but back then it was much easier to volume, to get volume on that. And so they did. Their edge was two things: volume, because they had a lot of accounts, they could open a lot of accounts, so they could scale up very easily. And that for me is an edge, an important edge, because you can have all the edges in the world, and if you don't have how to scale it, if you don't have how to put money in your edge, you are not going to thrive. So scalability is key issue nowadays more than ever. But back then they had a big operation, big scale operation. So it all relied on inefficiencies and scaling and scalability on the softs back then.
Okay. Now, were you a successful punter yourself before you got involved with other people?
I think I was. I still like. Okay, let's put it like let's. I think I still am in certain niches. I think I still am. I still have some edges. As I told you, I work with an extensive network of people in Portugal inside the club. So tier three, tier two, three, and four mostly. I think I have some informational edge right now. But back then I was kind of modeling. Let's say it's not what I did back then nowadays doesn't apply. If I was working the same way today, I would have no edge whatsoever. But back then, we are talking prior 2010, simple correlations with Spearman and some easy models, not Bayesian models, not frequentist mathematic models, but Bayesian models would allow us to spot some inefficiencies, especially in over-under goal markets. They were very bad price in those leagues, and so if we combine them with parlays and something like that, we could have very good fields, and we could destroy a little bit the bookies. Nowadays, the game has changed basically everywhere. Nowadays, it's all XG based machine learning models. So these simple methodologies are no longer sufficient, in my opinion, to have an edge. So nowadays, I much more rely on informational edges, talking to people, understanding how the teams are, how the players are, who are the players that are injured, who are not, and because sometimes prices are done and the data is not sufficient for these bookies, we can get an edge, especially in lower leagues. Portuguese and Spanish lower leagues still have good opportunities. You just need to know how to scale them a little bit. I'm not greedy, so it's enough for me.
Okay. What sports do you bet on for your current syndicates?
I don't bet for my syndicate, Simon. What I do for the syndicates is I normally help them to make their operations healthier. I think, for instance, I can give you examples. I'm working with two Brazilian groups right now, and these guys are younger than me. These guys do have some edges. One of these groups, as a modeler, it's from a modeler. He has very good ideas in his modeling, but a syndicate or a betting group is much more than a guy with a model. So you need to teach them how to put their money not in Brazilian real but in dollars. You need to teach these guys how to use a wallet, how to put money in outs that are outside Brazil, how to scale the operations in other ecosystems, how to partner with others. For instance, uh, our last job was to create them a special trading room where they could actually bet for others and send their bets for other groups, so they could get information at the lowest and cheapest cost possible, and to send out their own information so others can bet that for them. So creating such a brokerage structure inside this group was important because it would allow them to connect with other ecosystems and jurisdictions. So this is the kind of job I'm doing. I'm preparing smaller groups to become more efficient, more resilient, not betting per se.
And does horse racing feature at all in any of the business that your clients do?
Uh, Not yet, Simon. Not yet. My focus nowadays it's much soccer because Brazilian and Latin American countries are very big in soccer. I have some guys with basketball, tennis for sure. Everybody's into tennis right now, trying to develop um, models and ways to bet on tennis. But the race is it's another world. It's another breed. I would enjoy very much the opportunity to work with racing syndicates because I'm pretty sure I would also learn a lot, and that's key for me. So we always learn from the experience of others. So